One, the first thing is right now in the middle of the Pacific Ocean is the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. It's twice the size of Texas or almost the size of India, contains trillions of pieces of plastic. And there's another one just like it in the Atlantic, and there's three more just like it in the Southern Hemisphere. And if we continue on this path, by 2050, there will actually be more plastic in the ocean than fish. So that's one. The second thing I would say for people listening is every ounce of food you eat, every ounce of air you breathe, every ounce of beverage you drink contains plastic, contains microplastics. Just walking through your house this morning, if you walked across a nylon carpet, your shoes just sheared off micro and nanofibers of nylon that flew up into the air that you breathed into your lungs. Every time you open a bottle of water, the cap and the friction of the bottle creates micro and nanoplastic that goes into the water that you then drink. And now we've actually found bits of micro and nanoplastic in human blood. And so I think it's a big issue that we need to contend with as a species. Right now on planet Earth, there is nanoplastics in every cell of every living organism on the planet. And some people estimate that each of us eat about a credit card's worth of plastic every year. And so I think this question needs to be addressed.
Human blood currently has 40% plastic, 40% is plastic is away. This is nanoplastic. As per the WHO estimate, it is going to touch 50% by 2050 in human blood. So this is a very, very dangerous situation we are in. And the disease what we are going to get is totally different from what we have right now. And of course, as Pete already said about the ocean plastic, as he rightly said, by 2050, the plastic is going to be more than the fish in the ocean. That's perfect, actually. I have also been going through all research and other things. It's very true. So I was earlier working as a CEO of an insurance company based at Mauritius. So I used to travel a lot. So at that time, I'm talking about the way back in 2013, 2014. At that time, there was no plastic ban. Nobody cares about anything. So as you know, India used to burn a lot of stubble. Even today, they burn. So it's a practice followed by the farmers. So I was little curious when I'm outside India whether something can be done on this, whether some innovation or something like that. So suddenly, during one of my travel, I saw a similar plate made by a Polish company from Poland. They made it from their wheat-bran waste. So then suddenly it clicked me, okay, somebody is already doing it. So somebody is creating an extra work. So I reached out to them and saying that why don't we help in India? So we can also do something on the agriculture base. A lot of agriculture is getting burned. So unfortunately, they refused to give the technology. And they were not interested to manufacture in India. So I resigned my job, came back to India. I did my own research. I'm not a scientist, I'm not an engineer, but I wanted to do something for the Mother Earth, something for India, basically. So I've done a research for almost 3 years, identified some 4 to 5 products or raw materials which I can use. These are basically agricultural waste. But because the challenge was how to make it. So there was no technology. So I approached the Government of India, research institutes, premium research institutes like Scientific and Industrial Research Center. So they were also clueless how to do it. So I funded the entire project from my own money to Government of India. And whatever they have asked, including machinery, I have given. So it took them almost 1.5 years to make one plate in the lab. So I had given all the inputs, whatever I had. Then they asked me to go for a commercialization. So India, no plastic ban anywhere because I am standing for nowhere. Nobody is going to buy the product. That is different. Nobody has even heard about plastic ban at that time. But I wanted to make a difference. So this is where I, along with my few engineering friends, made our, I can say, machinery on our own. I was only very curious and very particular that 100% of the machine or even the nut or bolt or whatever it is should be from India. I will not depend on anybody outside India.
Mm.
So this was made after 6 months of trial and error. Then we went live. That is when the COVID hit us very bad. So 2 years totally sitting idle at home. Then we started moving on slowly, slowly. There were some YouTube videos and everything. People started recognizing us. Then I was awarded the national award for this innovation. I got the United Nations award also for this innovation. And slowly my products were selected at the G20 summit in India. So that was I can say, big achievement from where I started. So G20 summit, our products were utilized by the Prime Minister or the President of the US. Everybody, Joe Biden actually used our product. He started eating it from our plate. I don't know if you can see. This is a plate made from rice husk, paddy husk. So the biggest advantage of this product is it's a single use.
Hey,
So
Vinay,
after,
Vinay, hold,
yeah.
hold it more, mold it more in front of your body. Oh, there, that's better. Yeah, no, back a little bit in front of
Yeah.
your body. Oops. Yeah, I can see it now. Yeah,
Yeah, perfect.
Now
Yep.
it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this plate is made from rice husk, which is actually burned in India or burned everywhere. So
Right.
we have converted this rice husk into something known as a tableware. This is a plate, small plate, and we have a larger plate. Then we have another large plate, and we have the biggest plate, which is actually the 12-inch dinner plate, which we use in India. So the biggest advantage of this plate is after single use, you can reuse it as a cattle feed, poultry feed, fish feed, or as organic manure. It's 100% biodegrades in less than 30 days. So even if you throw it away, the ants is going to eat, the dogs are going to eat, the cats are going to eat it. So this is one product which I have done after a search of 3 years. And this is another product. I hope you can see these are the straws made from the wasted rice powder. So when the rice is getting milled, a lot of rice gets broken. So this broken rice normally goes towards making liquor, like rum or whiskey or whatever it is. So I have requested the mill owners to give that waste to me so that I will convert this to something useful. So this is used as an alternative to plastic or paper straws. So the biggest advantage is it can withstand normal liquid or a cold drinks up to 1 hour. Instead of paper straws, it's 10 minutes maximum. Then the paper comes inside your mouth. We also manufacture straws, as I told you. Now, January 1st, we are going to launch this first time in the world. So this cup, along with the takeaway containers,
Brilliant.
this is made from starch.
Fertilizer or soil emollients or back into the agricultural aspect of it to grow additional biomass. Or I mean, do you think about it in that way? Is that an aspect of your business model to enable the circular economy?
Yes,
talk
basically,
a little bit about that?
yeah, definitely. What I do is when, for example, my products are mainly purchased for the events, functions, or the churches or mosques or temples like that, basically function events. So this is where I support them with a standing kind of a thing, where to exhibit what it is made of, how it is used for the material, how are we contributing to the reduction of plastic. All this information is there. After this, after single use, this is actually taken away by the nurseries for growing vegetables. So automatically, this is how I made sure that it's used finally back to us. So it's an education, basically.
Yeah, I see. Thank you. Vinay, I've spent my, kind of different than you. I'm a chemical engineer by training, and I worked for the Dow Chemical Company for 18 years, and about a third of my career was in plastics, a third was in chemicals, and then a third was in mergers and acquisitions. And so I was very involved in the production of synthetic polymers for all kinds of different applications. And then after Dow, I went to Kimberly-Clark, maker of Huggies and Kleenex and Kotex products. And again, primarily our products use synthetic polymers again, polypropylene for the nonwovens and for the film on the outside of the diaper, and then polyacrylates is the super absorbent inside. And one of the things I think all companies are interested in is how we can make bio-based, biodegradable polymers, because you can have a bio-based polymer, you can make polyethylene from sugar, but it's not biodegradable. And so,
Correct.
what you've done is you've actually taken biomass, natural biomass, and have now converted it into a physical part to replace plastic materials. So, it'd be really interesting to understand how we might be able to utilize technology like you've developed to actually make fibers or fabrics, because if you could make a fiber or fabric, then you could start to, address this, single-use disposable products like baby diapers. Have you ever considered that? Is that even on the horizon of anything that you're considering, or is it primarily, rigid, products like you've shown?
Right now, my focus is on agriculture waste.
Thank you. One of the things that I talk about in my book is I redefine billionaire from somebody who accumulates $1 billion to somebody who helps 1 billion people. And it sounds like you're on your way to be a billionaire. Could you talk about a little bit about how you see your business scaling and growing and potentially impacting people all around the world?
Okay. See, basically, as I have mentioned earlier also, I am not keeping my product as just for India. It's a global product, number one. Number two is I am ready to give the technology, training, and machinery to any country in the world who has a similar agricultural waste. So I am ready to transfer the technology free of cost. So this money, yeah. So this is going to help many countries, particularly in Africa or Asia, wherever it is, who are having these problems, at least for a moment. This can be reduced in whatever way I can support. So this is one way. And second thing is on the idea of creating a billionaire mindset. So when you are not looking at a profit for yourself, then the entire world belongs to you as a family. So whatever is available locally, you need to create value for that country. For example, I'll tell you an example. Now, government of UAE has come to us for they have a waste of date seed. Dates, they have a seed inside. The seed is thrown out actually. It's not used. So they have kilometers of waste lying there of date seed. I told them very clearly, I will convert your date seed into a tableware. You proudly present it's a made in UAE product, 100% natural. Similarly, any country for that matter, everybody has an agriculture waste.
Yeah.
Switzerland has a big problem on the Christmas trees after Christmas. People cut it and they throw it on the road. So I've told them, I will convert your Christmas trees into a place. You use it for your own. Don't try to export, but reduce your import.
Right.
So Vinay, I live in Wisconsin, and I live right on Lake Winnebago. And in the wintertime, the lake freezes, and it'll freeze to be 24 inches thick, and hundreds of cars will drive out on the lake, and people will fish on the lake. And what they do with the Christmas trees here is they collect the Christmas trees and then they take it out on the lake and they create these roads. Yeah, they kind of so people know where to drive so they don't drive into a big crack on the lake. And then when the lake thaws, the Christmas trees actually sink to the bottom of the lake and become habitat for fish, and then decompose. And so it's interesting what they do with Christmas trees here is a little bit different. But no, that's cool. Yeah. So What else? What else, Jacalyn? What else should we talk about?
Well, I'm gonna go out on a limb here because
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by this. Now, the politics of plastic is endemic, right? It's systemic in our society. There's a lot of instant profit to be made in cheap plastics, throwaway plastic, single use. How do we, number one, how do we dialogue with the big plastic producers and the petroleum makers to convert them into this new system that benefits and is prosperous for them? And then how do we onboard this with our public, with our young people, right? With our fast food companies. Two big questions there. I appreciate that. But let's start with the plastic makers to begin with. How can we communicate with them instead of fighting with them?
Yeah, that's a, it's so difficult to compete with punching a hole in the ground, oil comes up, and then you think about the, 150 years of infrastructure that's put in place to convert this to everything from gasoline to asphalt to plastics to so many things in modern life. So that's one of the issues that has to be contended with. But one of my favorite quotes is the Stone Age didn't end because we ran out of stones. And the petroleum age won't end because we ran out of petroleum, but we found a better way. Kind of like what
Mm,
Vinay is doing with his business. We found a better way, right? And so, one of the things that has to happen is for consumers to
mm,
demand these products and be willing to pay a premium for a period of time until we have the proper scale in place. But what I found, at least in my career, is consumers are unwilling to pay that premium. And so that's where governments come involved.
mm,
How do you provide the proper subsidy for a period of time for these products to take hold? But for the petroleum companies to get behind it, that's a really tough question, because one of the things that's going to be happening over the next decade is, as we shift from petroleum based automobiles to electric automobiles, now all of a sudden, oil companies need to find other outlets for their product, and that will go into materials. I mean, today, if you look at all the petroleum on Earth, and maybe these statistics aren't exactly right, but they're pretty
mm.
close, is less than 3% of all the petroleum ever pulled out of the ground goes to making plastics. Everything else is either burned as energy or turned into asphalt to make roads. And so actually plastics, I used to always talk about this, is that plastics is the flea on the tail of the dog. The dog is the petroleum industry. The tail is some of the, monomers that can be made into plastics. And then, so plastics is really a small component of this. And so I think what we really need to focus on is energy. How do we find, I always think of petroleum as ancient sunlight. This is sunlight that is millions of years old, that is deep within the earth. And so how do we convert to current sunlight? How do we use, solar power? How do we use
Right.
wind power? How do we use tide power? I mean, it all goes back to the sun. Or even fusion, or which really drives the sun. And so I think what we need is an energy conversion, um, and then with energy conversion, you can use that energy to turn biomass and other types of renewable resources into the type of materials that we use in modern life. So what you're asking is a very complex question that needs to be addressed at the societal level, for consumers to demand it, at the industrial level to basically utilize technologies to create a more sustainable world, and then it has to happen at the governmental level, so that it's subsidized for some period of time, and then it needs to happen at the international level. And that's why it's such a complex problem to solve. But we have to begin solving it today with technologies like Vinay has developed. I mean, it's the start. Every revolution in human history started with just two people talking. And so how do we get that conversation going? So that's my perspective, Jacalyn. I'd love to hear Vinay's.
Hmm.
Just for your information, I am also a geologist by profession. I
Okay.
am a postgraduate in geology. So which is the, I can say, unfortunate part. And from a geologist, I've come to this, but I'm more fascinated on the earth. That's why I studied geology. And I'm a postgraduate in geology. And I know how these oil drillings and all these things happening, how dangerous it is. But as long as you are getting a free something from other, whatever way you extract, there has to be somewhere it has to come to
Yeah.
a stop. So the earlier the better you switch towards other kind of energies, whatever is available plenty,
Mm-hmm.
because this is a bubble. What is going to happen in Middle East or whatever it is? The moment, as Pete said, the other technologies are developing, the the other countries are is going to collapse or they have to find some other ways of making an income. Now, the problem with the plastic is we are not able to recycle whatever we are creating. As per statistics, only 9% of the plastic produced is getting recycled. 91% is litter.
Yeah.
So we don't have a technology. Although actually I have developed a technology. Unfortunately, nobody is going to allow that. I am actually converting the plastic into diesel.
Diesel.
We have
Okay.
done that. Yeah. So you don't have to segregate the plastic also. Any kind of plastic, it can be converted to diesel, and the
Right.
residue of that can be converted to make flower pots or I can say flooring tiles, etc. So
Mm-hmm.
we have been doing this, but unfortunately, the petroleum companies will not allow this because diesel, if I start making from plastic, where will they sell it?
Right.
So this is a technology available.
Right.
One other thing I would say, Jacalyn, on this is that I think the solution is right in front of our eyes. If you're by a window, if you look out that window and you can see a tree or grass
Mm.
or a bush, every plant on planet Earth is made with CO2, water, and sunlight. And to me, that's the opportunity for mankind, for humans, is how do we learn from nature? I mean, Mother Nature's been at this for 3.8 billion years. I think she has something to teach us. And
Right.
so, how do we use biomimicry to create new
Mm.
materials? And, one of the areas that I'm particularly fascinated by, Daniel Nocera he was originally at MIT, now he's at Harvard, but he invented the artificial leaf using artificial
Oh yeah.
photosynthesis, and, basically, how do you take CO2, water, and sunlight and make complex carbohydrates? And then once you have these complex carbohydrates, they can be used as food, of course, because that's what we do today. We eat plants, so complex carbohydrates could be food. It could be feed for animals. It could be fuel, diesel, just like Vinay said, or it could be feedstock for other industries, or it could be converted into, cutlery and plates, just like Vinay
Mm-hmm.
is doing today.
Mm-hmm.
So that to me is the major breakthrough that is needed. Is how do we do what the plants do every single day, which is do carbon fixation through some type of photosynthesis. I'll call it artificial photosynthesis, because then you could create the scale and the volume that you need to compete with petroleum.
Well said.
Yeah, it's an excellent, I can say, Peter summarized excellently. But my view, I can say, is almost similar only. This young generation needs to ask questions now, rather than accepting things as it is. You need to ask question why it is like this, why it has happened, who is responsible, who has done this. That they need to ask this question. If we are in a situation like this, somebody must have done this.
Mm-hmm.
So that question needs to be asked by each and every young person. Why my street is dirty, or why my this is having plastic, or what, ask authorities what have you done for this.
Mm.
So they need to question the authorities whoever is in role, saying that why it is not happening. The more the whys, the slowly the answer will change. Now people are so immersed in this social media, they don't ask questions. They
Mm-hmm.
just accept whatever is being given. They just absorb. They don't ask questions. You need to ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
That is the only way out. If you don't ask questions, somebody will answer for you. You need to digest them, even if you don't like it. So better
I
ask
love
questions.
I love that, Vinay. I think young people need to become curious.
Mm-hmm.
They need to ask questions. That to me is the beginning of knowledge, is to ask questions. And of course, the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know, which causes
Right.
you to be more curious and ask more questions. So I think it's curiosity, I think
Mm.
it's community, and I think it's collective action. Those are the three things that young people
Mhm.
can.
What I'm hearing is that I always kind of hear things a little differently sometimes, is that this is almost like the civil rights movement, right? It's questioning the paradigm, yeah, and saying, well, who made that rule up? Okay, and how can I actually be a participant in this society rather than just have things given to me, or this is just the way it is. So I would encourage young people to become like climate change activists, civil rights movement. It's your world, right? So, for example, McDonald's, you go to a fast food restaurant. So, what's your policy on plastic? Have you heard about what Vinay's doing? You know, we can all ambassador. And as Pete often says, HTH, you know, the high tech heroes movement, it's about all of us like a village, a global village doing this together and lifting each other up, all of us together. And I think that is a positive way to look at this issue, to be honest.
Yeah, a lot of times when I'm on a call like this, people ask me, "Hey, Pete, why is your map upside down?" And I mean, the words are right side up, but this map, and my answer always is, well, there is no upside down from outer space.
Right.
So many times the assumptions, if we hear them enough times, we think they become facts. And then those facts, quote unquote, actually create the paradigm in which we literally see the world. And so,
That's right.
what I find fascinating about
Mm,
this map is the reason I have this map is to really encourage people to challenge assumptions,
mm.
to change the way they see everything, and to so many times it's like a fish discovers water last. We don't know the culture that we're swimming in until we're pulled out, gasping from breath, looking back, saying, "Oh my God, is that what I thought all this time?" And the other thing I like about this map is, most maps have the UK at the center at the top. I mean, the UK ruled the world for so long,
Mm,
Jacalyn.
sorry.
But what I like about this map is
Mm,
Africa's at the center at the top. And I think it talks about the
yeah.
importance of developing nations. I think it talks about the importance of diversity and inclusion. And I think it talks about the fact that, hey, we're all in this together. And
Yes.
so I think an upside down map can just remind us to question assumptions, change the way you see everything, and to
Mm,
find a better way.
mm. Yeah, and adoption. Do things for yourself. You don't have to ask all the, adults in the room. You can go out and make the changes yourself. Pick up plastic at the shoreline. There's loads of things that are going on locally if you really look. I
Oh,
just
yeah.
want to
Well, the
say
other thing is there's no such thing as an adult. The whole time I was growing up, I thought,
exactly.
hey,
It's like
I'd
we're all
eventually, become this wise person, and as you age, you realize, hey, there really aren't any adults.
yeah,
So be
exactly.
one. So be
the
one.
wisdom the wisdom is
Yeah.
there multi-generationally. I want to say too that when we do, if we do indeed air this conversation, that we'll put lots of information for calls to action and how you can get involved with what Pete's doing and what Vinay's doing, and folks like this who are really leading the charge, and we're so grateful. Thank you for your service to planet Earth. Really appreciate your genius respectively.
Thank you.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate your time. Really appreciate your time. Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Right.
Vinny, I was just going to say what an incredible pleasure it is to meet you and to learn more about what you're doing and the impact that you're having and the recognition that you're getting. And if there's ever anything that I can do to help your
Mm.
business move forward, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Definitely, definitely.
To be
Thank you.
continued, I think, Vinay, to be continued. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so
Thank you
much for
so
your time,
much.
sir. Really appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much, Pete.
Thank you, Jacalyn.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a
Bye-bye.
wonderful day. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.